Welcome back, everybody, to the Bucks Planet podcast. I am, of course, your host, Will Neely, and I understand it's been a while. I'm trying to use this new system, and I'm actually going to be able to get a face cam, and I'm going to be able to show actual film on this channel. And I've been trying to set that up. For some reason, can't do it, but I'm figuring it out, and it's going to be up very soon. And I've been keep delaying this podcast. And I'm like, oh, I'm gonna do the thing next week, but then I keep not figuring it out. So I'm just gonna do this podcast, just in case I can't get it, up and running within the next week, because I definitely owe it to you guys of a podcast. It's been 4 weeks. Today's the fifth game. We play the Saints in 30 minutes, so I got to go ahead and have a quick. Normally my videos are 30 minutes, but I'm gonna probably make this video in 20 minutes, so then I have 10 minutes to upload this, and then get ready for the game. So the Bucks this season, there's been ups and there's been downs. That's what it's been so far with the Bucks. I would say I came up with a list of like things that we're going to talk about with what we need to fix, what we need to keep doing, things like that. But it's been a lot of ups and downs. Week one we came out looked pretty sluggish against the 49ers. Then we're expected to win, in Carolina, but then we came out and played football and we looked good. We beat them. Then everyone thought we were going to beat the Giants. We lose to the Giants. And then no one thought we'd beat the Rams. We beat the Rams. It's been a weird season, okay? I mean, I'm fine with it, but it's been a weird season. You cannot deny that it has been a weird season, because it has been a weird season. Week one, we'll start from the beginning. Week one, there was multiple issues on the team. I mean, we really didn't look ready to play. Is what the issue was. I just noticed a lot of, we just didn't really look that ready from any standpoint, especially on the special team standpoint. I mean, you line up, and the first punt of the game, first punt of the 2019 NFL season, we give up a blocked punt. And our special teams captain, Adara Gumbawale, everybody, he's a big special teams captain. He's the one who gives up the blocked punt on his first play of special teams. I mean, that's ridiculous. And it's pretty irritating to watch, because, I mean, what type of a statement is that to your own fans of this team? That you are just going to give up a blocked punt? That's the statement you give? We have a new coaching staff. We're going to be good this year. And then what's the statement you give? A blocked punt. It's unacceptable. And then it was just derail from there on out. Jameis looked unprepared. The offense seemed to confuse him a little bit. A lot of people wanted, to cut Jameis immediately after, all the, Jameis haters do. I, of course, am not one of those people, so I said we need time, because this is a whole new system now. He's had 3 different coaches in his 5-year career, and this is probably the most different it's ever been, because even when Lovey got fired, Cutter got promoted. Still the same system, because Cutter was his offensive coordinator, but this is a completely new system. I'll have Arians as your head coach, Byron Leftwich as your offensive coordinator. Completely new system. There's going to be growing pains. And the good news about Jameis is, I'll say, look bad first game. Okay, threw 3 interceptions. 1 wasn't his fault, but the 2 pick sixes were mostly his fault. They're still kind of unfortunate pick sixes, but it's still some kind of boneheaded. But it's tough to watch your 5th-year quarterback perform like that in his first game. But you cannot lose hope after week one. You just can't do it. And the good news about Jameis is he has looked better every week. He's gotten a little bit better. Week one, it wasn't that good. So it was kind of like the only way you can go from this is up. And that's what he did. He played against the Panthers. They had the Byron Leftwich and all their people, they had a really conservative game plan. They ran it a lot. They didn't make Jameis throw it a lot. It's almost like they were scared to use Jameis. It was prime time. They don't want to, destroy his confidence, which I was okay with. Normally, I'm not okay with that, but it was like he came off of a rough start. He's now in a, short week, Thursday night game against the Panthers. Let's play a little conservative. We might lose, but, in the long run, I think they're probably thinking this will be good for Jameis. I was okay with that. And Jameis, he had no turnovers. He had a touchdown, and his stats actually didn't really indicate how well he played, because he actually had a really good game against Carolina. There was 2 drop touchdown passes, one that went directly through Brashad Perriman's hands. I mean, it was right through both of his hands. Should have been an easy catch, but, he's not good, so he was going to, of course, drop the pass. So that could have been 2 touchdowns for Jameis. And then Mike Evans, of all people, he kind of had a drop too. I mean, you look at the replay, and I'll probably show it on the film analysis when I make that later, but he tried to basically one-hand catch it because he was in pretty tight coverage. But if he could have easily gotten both hands on the ball and caught it. Mike Evans didn't really have a good angle at the ball, and then he kind of tried to one-hand it. But if he really just got both of his hands up, instead of using his, because he always uses his other hand to push off the guy, so he gets penalized so much. But if he used both of his hands, he probably would have caught it. And, 3 touchdowns in a Thursday night game looks a lot different than 1. The Mike Evans one's kind of like 50-50 if he should have caught it. I think he should have. He's a top 5 wide receiver in the NFL. Rashad Perryman absolutely should have caught that pass. And Jameis would have looked like 3 touchdowns, no turnovers. That's a good game. Now, then the next week against the Giants, he again took a step forward. Jameis had 3 touchdown passes, put up 30 points. And, that was that game, man. I've never been more mad in my life. I mean, that's really one of those games where you should have won. And we'll get into that in a second. But again, Jameis looked better in that game. He had 1 interception that it looks like, I'm not really sure about that one. I still haven't watched the film on that. It looked kind of weird. Like he just threw it right behind the guy. I'm not 100% sure. But that was a pick. And that was his only turnover. He looked really good that game. And then last week, of course, against the Rams, he looked like an all-pro. I mean, it was like he was a future Hall of Famer. He threw 4 touchdown passes, 300-plus yards passing, only 1 interception. He was on fire. He hit 68% of his passes. It was a good game for Jameis Winston against the Rams. He looked really good. And that's what you want to see from Jameis because he's getting better every single week. And have we seen this before? Not to this extent, because people are going to say, oh, well, he's just inconsistent. Yeah, but he's been consistently getting better so far. Normally he's hot, cold, hot, cold, hot, cold. This is kind of he was cold, and then it's like a little bit hotter, and now it's hot. You know what I mean? So we definitely want to keep seeing the improvements from Jameis. And then if he keeps playing like he did against the Rams and even the Giants, he will get a contract into the season, and he will be the guy. And I think he will do that. I hope he will do that. I really like Jameis. I want him to be our quarterback. So, nothing but the best for him. Now, getting into the Giants game, because that game really was a debacle of football, okay? It was terrible. I don't have enough time to cover all 4 of the games that, I haven't covered yet, so I'll probably get to those maybe in another podcast, but because believe me, I hate Cam Newton. We just, took him to the cleaner. Shaq Barrett, Defensive Player of the Year, we'll get into that. So, the Giants, it was so unacceptable how he lost. It's a rookie quarterback making his first start, which actually can be a challenge because you don't have any film on him. So, it is what it is, but the Bucs have a history with, rookie quarterbacks. We're 3-13 against them since, 2006 or something. But then Todd Bowles has a good record against him as our defensive coordinator. So everyone's like, oh, whatever. It's the Bucs, okay? I mean, we just make bad players look like Hall of Famers. It's what we do, especially rookies. And that's what we continue to do. Daniel Jones was pretty hot. He did fumble twice because of course, Shaq Barrett. He's had 9 sacks in 4 games, on pace to set the NFL record for the most sacks. It's insane. It's pretty crazy. He's very good. Fantastic pickup. It's crazy to think that guy was a backup in Denver. And now he's the best defensive player in the NFL this year. I mean, that's crazy. And he plays for us. We have the worst defenses ever, and he plays for us. And he's the best defensive player in the league. So that's definitely exciting. It's just really tough when you lose a game the way we lost. I mean, we were up 28 to I think 10 or something. I think it was 28 to 10 at halftime, but anyway, we're up by multiple scores. And it was halftime. We're up by multiple scores. Rondé Barber's getting into the Hall of Fame or Ring of Honor. And so you just as a Buccaneer fan, you feel good about yourself. You're like, look at Rondé Barber. He's one of the best corners of all time. He's getting the Ring of Honor. We're up by multiple scores. We feel good. And then we just come out after half. First play of the game, They throw a little crossing route to Evan Ingram, takes it 75 yards for the touchdown. First play after halftime. I mean, what? That's another one of those things where it's like, what type of statement are you making to your fans? You're a Buccaneer fan feeling good about yourself, and then they just throw it right down your throat. First play they score. I mean, and that's really where the momentum turned, because then they scored. We went 3 and out. We punted it. They scored again. It was then all of a sudden it's a one possession game, and I mean it was so ridiculous what we were doing. And our field goal kicking, we missed 2 field goals. Oh yeah, he won the Lou Graza Award, just like Aguayo, which is, if you don't know, the college kicker MVP award. And we have that guy won it, and that guy shanked 2 field goals. I mean, it's so frustrating to watch a kicker lose you the game, but it wasn't all his fault. I mean, it actually was all his fault, but because he shouldn't have been put. I'll say that he shouldn't have been put into the situation of having to kick a game-winning field goal. But it is what it is. If he's just put in the position, he needs to kick it. But anyways, the problem was in that game was we were lighting up the Giants. I mean, Mike Evans had a hat trick in the first half. The Giants' defense is atrocious, and we needed to keep throwing it because, I mean, Jameis was on fire first half. Fire. He was literally on fire. It was so good. And all of a sudden, we get to halftime. We get after halftime, and all we're doing is running the ball. We're only throwing little slants and stuff. I mean, we need to still be bombing it. We need to keep bombing them because they can't stop it. And yet, we just kept trying to run out clock, and that's why we lost the game, because we only scored, I think, 3 points after after halftime. After scoring 4 touchdowns in the first half, it was like, what? What are you talking about? And I was so irritating to watch, but, it is what it is. And ultimately, it cost us because the Giants came out slinging it around. Our defenders looked lost. I mean, the Giants have crappy receivers. I mean, I'm going to be honest. They have bad receivers. And yet our defensive backs, make them look like Jerry Rice All-Pro going into the Hall of Fame next year. Because that's just what we do. And, the pressure, it was there sometimes, but sometimes it wasn't there because it's basically Shaq Barrett and no one. I mean, Carl Nassib does something every now and then, but the pressure wasn't where it should have been. Shaq Barrett did have 2 forced fumbles, but it was, he's fantastic, but we needed more consistent pass rush instead of just one splash play every other 10 plays. So that was an issue. And I'll tell you one thing that I actually want to talk about that you guys probably didn't notice. On the game-winning touchdown where Daniel Jones rushed in for the score, okay, I remember I was so irritated. It was 4th and 5. They're at the 10. I'm like, well, the Bucs are going to win this game. And they had everyone covered. He runs in for a touchdown. It was a nice play by him, whatever. This is the part that irritates me about the Bucs defense, and it actually concerns me because I know Todd Bowles forced a lot of turnovers, and we'll get into how he's kind of changed it, but we have an underlying kind of, not discussed issue. Our players they're not that smart, okay? And that's why we keep blitzing, because we think that by blitzing, we can get away with our players not being smart because the quarterback's not going to have enough time to understand how dumb we are. That's basically what it is, because this is what happened on the play where Daniel Jones rushed in. People kept criticizing and saying, why isn't there a spy on Daniel Jones? He's been running all over us. There should have been a spy in that situation. Well, guess what? I watched film on this, actually. There actually was a spy up on Daniel Jones. It was Jordan Whitehead. And Arians said this in his post-game conference. You can listen to it. Jordan Whitehead was the spy. And which a QB spy is when a defensive player only sits right in front of the line of scrimmage and just has an eye on the quarterback and doesn't let him run. He doesn't rush the quarterback at all. He just sits there, eyes the quarterback, and follows him wherever he goes on the field, and then makes the tackle if he ever tries to run. That's all he is. That's all the spy does. And we had Jordan Whitehead, our safety, probably the fastest defensive player we have, because Devin White was out, of course. And Jordan Whitehead, our free safety, was the spy. But the problem is while Whitehead's trying to be the spy, we had, I think it was Kevin Minter who's filling in for Whitehead. Kevin Minter was supposed to pick up the running back, okay? But Kevin Minter did not pick up the running back. Kevin Minter covered the slot receiver instead, and then that caused Whitehead to then have to cover the running back because Whitehead was trying to correct Minter's mistake because Minter just flat out, it might have not been Minter, it might have been someone else, but one of our players I know was supposed to cover the running back, and then since they didn't, the running back would have been wide open, so then Whitehead had to go cover the running back, and then there's no spy. I mean, stuff like that, you just can't have that. because every single person, every receiver on their whole team was covered that play, except Daniel Jones. And if we had our guy cover the correct player, we'd have had a spy on Jones, game over, we win the game. And then, you guys know how this ends. We go down there. Jameis has a really clutch throw, perfect on the money to Mike Evans, goes to the 9-yard line. We take a delay a game because Arians thinks it's better for our kicker because he's not good at kicking short field goals. It makes no sense, but whatever. And then we missed, 30-yard field goal. So that's just not surprising. It's really not. It actually is, but it's like not at the same time because of our kicking curse. But that's how you lose a game. And I was so frustrated and irritated because that game meant something because we now have 6 weeks in a row without a home game. And I was like, this is just not how you want to, end it off. But anyways, we have to go at the Rams, play the reigning NFC champs. But guess what we do? We go ahead and beat them. And that was, I've never been more happy. I've never been more mad after the Giants game, and I've never been more happy after the Rams game. No one thought we'd win that game. Not a single person thought we'd win that game. I didn't think we'd win the game. You could put on my Snapchat story. I said, can't wait to get, destroyed today. Hopefully it's not too bad. But we go out there, we fling around, and I'll tell you the biggest difference of why we beat the Rams, because it was the exact same thing in the first half against the Giants as it was in the first half against the Rams. We line up, and in the first half, we just sling it. Jameis was on fire. We had a bunch of points in the first half. And this was the key difference. I think Byron Leftwich learned from his mistake. We cannot go conservative in the second half because our defense isn't good enough to hold us through. That's just what it is. And Byron Leftwich in the second half of the Rams game kept airing it out, kept putting the heat on the Rams, stomping on their throats, kicking them while they're down. That's exactly what we need to do every game. We cannot let up. Our defense is not good enough to hold our lead, even if it's huge. We need to keep, pedal to the metal here, because if not, we will blow the lead and we will have another Giants situation because we do not want to put our kicker in any type of clutch situation. That's something we don't want to do here. So Leftwich learned from his mistake. We kept airing it out, and we looked. That was a fun game. We set the record. The Bucs set the record for most points scored in franchise history. That's insane. 54 points. And I tell you, there's nothing more fun when there's that high-scoring game, and then in the last drive, Shaq Barrett, baby, forces Jared Goff fumble, and then Ndamukong Suh, 300 pounds, picks up the ball, runs 50 yards for the touchdown. It was such a fun game to watch. I recorded it. I'm going to watch it again one day. If I'm having a bad day or something, I'm going to watch it again. That was so much fun to watch. It was very exciting. Score. It was almost like a college football game. It was so crazy. And the defense looked good. It was a really good play that I actually made a note of is Lavonte David's interception. It's actually probably better than what you remembered it as. And I'm going to go through this in the film analysis. It was so well executed and shows why Todd Bowles is a good defensive coordinator. Jared Goff, okay, they went to the Super Bowl last year. This guy's a Super Bowl quarterback. He went to the Super Bowl, and he didn't win, but whatever. He still took his team to the Super Bowl, so this team is good. They just went to the Super Bowl last year, and Jared Goff goes line of scrimmage, and we blitz every single play with Todd Bowles. We showed blitz again. Then Jared Goff is at the line of scrimmage, and he sees we're in that blitz formation, and he audibles. He changes the hot route is what he really does. He goes up to the line of scrimmage. He tells his players, says some word, and comes back because he thinks that they got us. He thinks we're blitzing all of our linebackers, and he just throw the slant to Brandon Cooks because there's going to be no linebackers to cut it off. And Brandon Cooks is going to beat his corner because Brandon Cooks is a good football player. But what happens is we did what's called a shadow technique where the linebackers act like they're blitzing, and then the second the play is snapped, they sink back into coverage. And that's a perfectly perfect call against what Jared Goff did, because the way we did it is not all of our linebackers were shadowing and not all of them were blitzing. It was a mixture of both, and that's what got the interception, because we had 3 linebackers that were showing blitz, and then 2 of them blitzed, and then Lavonte David was the one who shadowed back into coverage, and then Goff didn't even see him, threw the ball to he thinks it was going to be an easy slant to Brandon Cooks. Lavonte David intercepts it, run it all the way back, didn't score a touchdown, but it still ran it decent, I think 20 yards back. And it was so beautiful. Like, I watched that play so many times. You just watch like the ball snap, Lavonte David's crouching, sneaking back into coverage. Goff throws the ball, pick. It was so beautiful. I've never seen us execute something like that before. Like, I have never ever seen us execute that good of a defensive play before. It was a very good game. I'm feeling good, and now we're playing New Orleans. We're playing them in actually 5 minutes, so I got to wrap this up very quickly. I'm so excited. I freaking hate the Saints. I want to beat them. I don't like Sean Payton. I don't like Marshawn Lattimore. I don't like anyone. I don't like their fans. I would say the keys for beating the Saints today. We have to keep doing the winning formula. And what's the Bucs winning formula? It's what I already said. It's you throw, you keep putting pedal to the metal, you keep cramming scores and points down their throats, and you don't stop. I don't care if it's Teddy Bridgewater as their backup quarterback he's playing. I don't care if it's Drew. It doesn't matter. We have to keep putting the heat on them in the second half. We have to keep doing it. And if we do that, we keep up our blitzes, and there's going to be plays where our corners are just going to get beat because that's just what it is. Your blitz can't get there every single time, but it is what it is. So we just need to keep doing those things, and we will win. And I'm really, because if we win this game, we'll be on top of the division, and that will be really cool. So I'm feeling actually pretty good about this team right now. We've been showing improvements, and yeah. So again, I'm gonna try to get the film analysis up and my face cam up. Maybe today. I might actually do it today. I just made this podcast just in case I didn't, because I definitely owe it. I'm so far behind. I'm sorry, but yeah. So we'll see you guys next time.